Hey there, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Blue Sky Sanctuary. That's my property in the Baja in Mexico. It's also my YouTube channel where I've been sharing everything that I can that I'm learning through my own personal experience, living here, purchasing property, building on that property, and ultimately selling it, which was never my intention, but it was ultimately just too good of an opportunity to pass up. And so now I am on a fresh new piece of land, living off grid, ready to embark on a new project, learning from all my past experiences. Today I am talking to you about solar, the pros and cons as I have experienced them over the last handful of months. I have footage that will show you what my system looks like, and I will catch you on the other side of that and jump right into the pros and cons list. So that's my system. It powers my laptop and the internet, charges my phones and speakers, small gadgets like that, and it also powers my small appliances. It doesn't power the fridge, stove, water heater, or furnace. All four of those things run on propane. And even still, I run the risk of running out of power each day, which brings me to con number one, which is living on a finite amount of energy. I didn't think it would be as challenging an adjustment as it has been because I'm by nature a really energy conscious person, but there is a difference between choosing to be energy conscious to keep your electrical bill low or to minimize your imprint on the environment and having to keep your energy consumption low because if you don't, you'll run out of energy at the end of the day, which has happened to me a few times now. The solution is simple, of course, it's just to expand your system, but I can liken this to keeping money in the bank. We all know that we should keep a good chunk of savings in the bank. It's the responsible thing to do in case an emergency happens, but most of us don't do it. It feels the same with the solar system. Ideally, I would increase the system and then I would just have more than enough energy every day, but I just don't want to make the additional investment at this point. Which brings me to con number two, which is the actual expansion of the system and the limitations of that. If it was as simple as just add one more solar panel or just add one more battery, I might do that. But the way that solar works, the panels charge the batteries, and the batteries can only charge to a certain amount and discharge to a certain amount. So if I wanted to get more panels, the extra energy that those panels would create would be wasted because the batteries can only fill to a certain degree. So then the next solution is, well, then get more batteries. But if you have more batteries than you have panels, the batteries can only discharge to a certain degree. Mine can only discharge to 50%. Newer batteries, the lithium-ion batteries, can discharge to 95%, but you're going to pay an absolute premium for those batteries. So basically, I'm stuck in the limitation, and anyone who's going to be on solar is going to be stuck in this limitation of this window, which is you either need to have a much bigger system so that you have more than enough power each day, which is hard to justify paying for, or you live like I do, which is with that possibility that you might run out of energy at any given time. Your charge controller tells you how much energy you have in the battery bank, but you have to keep looking at it. And that is another adjustment that needs to be made when you're living on solar. The third con, as far as the limitation of energy, is cloudy days. Fortunately here, most days are sunny, but on the few cloudy days that we've had, I've noticed a drastic drop in the energy that's available to me. It was roughly 75%, which was a reality check because I thought that solar would be great during hurricane season. Here, the power poles get blown down sometimes and the electricity is out for days. And I thought, well, I'll be laughing if I'm on solar, But that's not the case because during those storms, it's also really cloudy. So I will be living on a fraction of the energy that I'm used to. So it's not really a great solution. That brings me to con number 5, which is I didn't realize that on solar, I'm still at the mercy of the supplier. For example, on a Saturday night, I blew a fuse here. I didn't know how to troubleshoot that. I had to wait till Monday to talk to the company, and they told me it was going to be 4 days before they could come out and see me. Fortunately, my friend knows more about solar than I do, and he was able to figure out that I had blown a fuse. But left to my own devices, I wouldn't have figured that out. I would have been down for 5 days, and that is just no better than being at the mercy of the electrical company. So that's been a harsh reality check and something that I'm learning to contend with. Powering through the cons list, we're almost at the end of it. The upfront cost is also a little bit hard to handle. It's not cheap. The system that I have here was $1,200 US. For the house, it's going to cost roughly $15,000 to $20,000 US. And when I do the math, how long it would take for that system to pay for itself, it's a bit hard to accept, especially because I am so close to the grid. Also, when we consider the cost of the system that we have to recognize that that system is outside. So that puts us in a bit of a vulnerable position, not only from the system being taken if we leave the property for any amount of time, but also it's vulnerable to the environment. And when hurricanes hit, you've got to make sure that those solar panels are super well secured to the structure. The last point on the cons list is the environmental impact. Now that I have the solar system here and I'm comparing the two, common sense and research is telling me that it's not so obvious that solar is way kinder to the planet. The reason I say that is, for example, the batteries that I have to be replaced in 5 years. So that's 2 car-sized batteries going into the landfill. The panel is not going to last forever either, so that has components that of course aren't just going to disintegrate when it hits the landfill. So there's a lot of gadgetry involved with your solar system, and if I multiply that by 7 or 8 or 10 when I think of powering the house, how much equipment that's going to be versus getting electricity the conventional way, basically there's much less equipment involved with the electrical company. Yes, they're creating emissions, but they're creating power for so many people. Whereas solar, you're just creating energy for yourself and you need all this equipment to make it happen. I definitely don't want to discourage you from considering solar or setting yourself up on it. I'm just sharing with you what the reality has been for me so far so that you can kind of make an informed decision. And with that, let's jump into the pros list because we need to get this into the positive. So the first massive pro is, of course, that you can use solar wherever the sun's shining, and that makes it super valuable. If you are 25 or 30 blocks from the grid or 50 kilometers from the grid, it doesn't matter. You can be set up, and that will make all the compromises worth it, I think. The second massive pro is that it can be set up relatively quickly. You could set it up before you even get to your property, which is what I did. I had the camper wired and running before getting to this piece of property. With electricity, that can take weeks, or realistically here, if I wanted to connect to the grid at this property, it would have taken months. So this is a great kind of band-aid measure to tie me over until the power poles get closer to my property, at which time I can plug in. Those are the 2 massive pros. I know the pros list is a lot shorter than the cons list, but that is the reality of it. I am just wanting to help you make informed decisions if getting solar is something that you're thinking about. And before I wrap this up, I do want to invite you to reach out to me if you would like coaching or personal consulting on any of the topics that I've talked about on my channel, whether that's living in the Baja, purchasing property here, building, or even just living your best life. I would love to have that conversation with you. By all means, shoot me an email and we will get it going. Thanks again for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.